Coming up on today's show, we are doing a Cleveland Browns Report live mailbag. That means we want to hear from you people, the fans, the Dog Pound faithful, the Browns Report faithful. What do you have to say? We're going to get your questions on the show here and answer them on the Browns Report. I'm your host, Joey O'Donohue, and also keep in mind, we are in a Week 2 sub-battle with the Baltimore Ravens, and we're catching up. They've slowed down a little bit, and we got hot if you've been keeping up with this all week. They've had 2.3 thousand new subscribers. We're at 1.9 thousand new subscribers. Smash that sub button. We can beat the Ravens fans. Come on, Browns fans. We got this. Show the bosses at Chat Sports that Browns fans do it better than Ravens fans. We're so close. We can catch them before Sunday. Let's do it. We want to beat the Ravens on the NFL field, and we want the Browns fans to beat the Ravens fans at Chat Sports. So smash that subscribe button. And without further ado, let's get into your questions. We had an electric $100 super chat from Dolphin X. Thank you so much. Hopefully you're watching this video back because you are a big part of it. Thank you so much for joining the stream. And Dolphin X wanted to know, make your prediction of who the hero of the Ravens game will be. I got Carson Swessinger. First of all, I love your pick, Dolphin X. Carson showed flashes of greatness against the Bengals. He was everywhere on the field. I mean, literally. His pursuit is one of the best I've seen in Cleveland in a while. Like, no matter who caught the ball and where, Noah Fant out in the flat, Chase Brown, a screen to the right. Carson immediately, ball hawk, follows the football, made the tackle, 8 tackles on the day. That led everyone on the Cleveland Browns. He's a legitimate Defensive Rookie of the Year candidate this year from what I saw and what we will see going forward. So I love your pick, but I won't steal it. I'm going to come up with a different one here for you. My obvious answer is Myles Garrett. Burrow said it last week. He can literally win the game if you let him. But I got a fun answer for you, Dolphin X. I think if the Browns are going to win, their hero would be Joe Flacco himself. The former Baltimore Raven, the 40-year-old, would have to go out there and start slinging it, almost like he did against Cincinnati. Flacco had 290 yards passing. They let him throw over 40 times. So I think in a game where Cleveland actually wins, it's because they have a lot of yards through the air and they carve up the Ravens secondary, just like the Buffalo Bills did on Sunday night when they hung 41 on the Ravens. I bet if Cleveland wins, Flacco does that again. This time, receivers don't drop the ball and they find their way into the end zone. That's my answer for you. Thank you so much for the question. Next up, Joshua Miller, an OG Browns fan of the channel, says, do we keep Greg Newsome, if he has a decent year, or give Martin Emerson another shot? #Browns. Great question, Joshua. Newsome's contract is actually one of the biggest salary-wise on the Browns right now, and it is a contract year for both him and Martin Emerson. I would much prefer to keep Newsome if we have the choice and the cap to do so, because Emerson, out for the year, he's coming off an injury. Is a lot more uncertainty with how Emerson will look after a season-ending injury. Newsome, however, looked great on Sunday against the Bengals. In fact, when he was matched up against Jamar Chase, he locked him up. Chase only had 2 catches total on the day, and I believe he didn't get any on Newsome. So besides one defensive pass interference penalty that we saw Newsome have on Chase, he locked him up very well, and that's arguably the best receiver in all the league. So I really like the coverage we saw from Newsome. I think Browns should keep him if they have that choice and can't keep both Emerson or Newsome. I'd prefer Greg. Moving on to Kathy, another OG fan of the channel, says, #Browns, what do you think about the offensive line this year? Kathy, it's a good question. I think there's positives and negatives with the Browns offensive line. So there's players that we know have talent. We know have made all-pro teams, Pro Bowlers, like Joel Bitonio, like Wyatt Teller, like Jack Conklin, who also practiced today, Wednesday, I should say, and Kevin Stefanski says will likely be good to go. So there's talent on the roster. However, injuries are what seem to plague the Browns offensive line the past couple years. For some reason, on paper, they're not as good as they were a couple years ago. Also, DeJuan Jones, as big as he is, he's kind of slow. We see him have a couple holding penalties. I think we might need to have a little battle at that left tackle spot soon because we cannot have costly holding penalties like he had a couple against the Bengals. So I think overall, offensive line has talent, but it could use a little bit more depth because you never want to be you want to err on the side of caution, especially with one of the most important position groups in football. Games are won in the trenches. I'm up and down on the O-line, but I know there's talent on it. Moving on to ICUP. What a clever username. Thank you for the question. It says, is Howie calling the Browns about Ward? Because I'm going to crash out if they trade him. Okay. There's been rumors of this, mostly on Twitter. We made a video about it, about the scenarios for Ward. Go ahead, check it out. The Browns restructured his contract yesterday. And I honestly think, this is my rumor, that Howie is calling the Cleveland Browns. I think Howie Roseman of the Philadelphia Eagles, if you don't know, is on the phone about this. Cleveland, I think, would be reluctant to do this as a deal. So absolutely it makes sense that the Eagles would do this. I think the Eagles, when you look at their cornerback, like Adoree Jackson as CB2 has been just getting carved up, especially in that Cowboys game. They need a corner, and that's all they need. I mean, they have everything else. They're the Super Bowl champion team. Like, the Eagles are the most win-now team of any because they just won. If they don't win this year, they automatically, technically, had a worse season than they did last year. Ward would make the Eagles, from their perspective, the immediate Super Bowl favorites. So I think Howie is calling him up. Also, he made an offer for Micah Parsons. That report came out. He's not afraid to do it. I think from their side, there could be truth to this rumor. From the Browns side, I don't see it making sense. I don't see it happening. I think Cleveland, well, first of all, he's one of our cornerstones, our second best player. And they restructured his contract so that they don't have to pay Ward as much in salary this year, right? $12 million of his contract is now a signing bonus, and Cleveland has more cap space to use in 2025 if they so choose. And it wouldn't make sense that they would get rid of star player Ward. It's like, what could the Eagles give us that would entice us enough to make this deal, you know? The Browns are in a weird spot where it's like they can win games, but they also have a lot of young rookies. If this were to happen, it would be later, before the trade deadline in November, or next year or the year after. Cleveland, I think, wants to see a couple more games, see if they can be a contending team. Then they should keep Denzel Ward because he should be on a contending team. If they start to go into rebuild mode and lose a bunch of games, I would start to get worried. That's when my rumor meter would go up a little bit that this would happen. What do you think? Would the Browns trade Denzel Ward in season this season? Type Y for yes, type N for no in the comments. Do you think there's any possibility that Cleveland would do this deal? Like I said, I think Philly absolutely is on the phones. The Browns, I don't think it makes sense for them. It would be a very steep asking price. You'd have to blow our socks off and maybe even throw in Jalen Hurts, which would never happen. So let me know what you think in the comments. And I'm excited to tell you about today's sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Honestly, I'm just so hyped that football's back on Sundays. Everything's right with the world, and I'm big into daily fantasy with Prize Picks. I'm obsessed with it because it makes all the games more entertaining, and before the Browns play, I lock in on all my players in my lineup and their player projections. Prize Picks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. And Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out even if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. And I've got a couple picks for week 2. You know I got Cleveland Browns on my lineup. David Njoku, I think, gets in the end zone more than half a touchdown. Flacco's going to need some big targets, and he loves going to tight ends against the Bengals. Jeudy, I've got more than 65.5 receiving yards. He's motivated. He's ready to cook the Ravens secondary. And finally, Prize Picks gives you an awesome deal to get Travis Kelce more than half a receiving yard. That's in my lineup. Hopefully my player projections are correct. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Getting back to our Q&A questions of the day. We've got Moose Loves Browns. Is this the Moose? I think it's a different Moose. Says, if our QBs don't fit for the team, will the Browns get Arch Manning? Good question, Moose loves the Browns. So Arch Manning did not look good in his debut against Ohio State, I have to concede. My thing on this is the Browns have 2 rookie quarterbacks in their room. If they're picking high next year, I'd rather them take a Caleb Downs. Or, knowing Cleveland, they'll probably take another offensive lineman or defensive lineman. But Caleb Downs would make that defense elite for the next few years. And so that's what I think Cleveland would do. And I don't love the quarterbacks in this class, honestly. Like Drew Allar, I've seen him choke in big moments. Not a big Sellers guy. I just don't think it's another good QB class. And Arch, I need to see a little bit more of before I claim that he should be one of the top picks in the draft. I mean, taking Arch is kind of like taking Shedeur in a way. Just so much media hype and attention around him. But I need to see more from Manning. And I would love to see what we have in that room. I want to see Dylan Gabriel play. I want to see Shedeur Sanders play more than anything. I think we do see them eventually later in the season. Gabriel's the backup right now. Shedeur is the 3. But I just really want to see Shedeur get out there because we've talked about him so much, hyped him up so much in the offseason. Everyone has. It's been the talk of the league in preseason. So I want to actually see what we have in that room before we go drafting quarterbacks like Arch Manning. But thank you so much for the question. AFX also came in with a $2 super chat. Thank you, AFX. He just said cut Jerome Ford. I'm in on this take as well, AFX. I think Cleveland is weeding out Ford slowly. You started to see that against Cincinnati when Dylan Sampson got the bulk of the load. Sampson led the team in catches. He's an elusive receiving back. He's got a little more speed than Ford does. And going into the season, Jerome Ford was running back 1 on the depth chart. I think that slowly starts to go down. Even Raheem Sanders was the running back they brought in at the goal line. So it's like when Judkins gets back, Cleveland has everything they need in the room. Ford doesn't fit into it. Judkins is the strong, physical running back 1. Sampson, the elusive, fast receiving back that can bring in on third down. Raheem Sanders, the big, strong, massive power running back that can bring in goal line situations, 4th down and 1 situations, 3rd and 1 situations when you need just a short yardage power back. That's all they need. The 2 electric young rookies and the big power back, Raheem Sanders. They will not need Jerome Ford in that room, starting to take up a spot. So I absolutely could see it happening, Jerome Ford getting cut or even traded if anyone would actually buy him for a cheap price. Joshua Miller. Cade York's biggest fan, Joshua Miller, came in and said, bring back Cade York, the real number 3. Yeah, kicker troubles are a big thing for the Browns right now. But I don't think we should go calling any old kickers. Dustin Hopkins, certainly not. The Browns have had kicker issues for decades now. It's unbelievable. Let's bring in some competition, though. Joshua Miller says, let it be Cade York. That's funny. Then we got Troy Dirth. Wanted to know, Olave trade now after Ward restructuring. This one's interesting because the Ward contract restructure does free up cap space for the Browns to go make a move and get a player. And a wide receiver is definitely a room that I've heard rumors that they would be looking at. Olave, probably one of the most likely ones they could actually afford to get. And that would be on the block. And as a receiver that's had a lot of flashes of being talented, I would honestly love Olave in that room. Then we'd have a pretty good group of Jeudy, Tillman, and Olave. 1, 2, 3. That's pretty good. With speedster Isaiah Bond. Jamari Thrash didn't do much against the Bengals at all, unfortunately. And so that could be a position group of need, especially if Joe Flacco's going to throw that many times a game. He's going to need more weapons. Or if you're going to put rookies in later in the season, they're going to need good, competent receivers that can help out. So I could absolutely be in on that move. You know we will have you covered if it happens. But that cap space gives them freedom to do so. Soul Train also coming in. Wanted to know, I expected growing pains from Harold Fannin Jr. considering the competition he had at Bowling Green. If he's this good early, he's going to be really good for the long run. Hashtag Browns. I'm in on Harold Fannin Jr. as well. Soul Train number 44 looked amazing. He was used in many different ways as well. But he was Flacco's favorite target. He led the Browns in targets. And David Njoku's on a contract year right now. He's going to be expensive to have to pay in the offseason. Cleveland might even explore trading Njoku. Or they might not be able to sign Chief Njoku at the end of the year. That's why it's good that Harold Fannin Jr. is looking as promising as he is, because Cleveland might need a tight end for years to come if they can't get Chief Njoku back. Remember, they're still indebted to Deshaun Watson for a while, so we'll keep you posted on if that happens. But I absolutely love what we've seen from Harold Fannin Jr., and we've got Njoku on the roster right now, so 2 tight end sets are going to go crazy in Cleveland right now. Teams aren't going to know what hit them. Pebble Hunter just came in with the $5 super chat. Good to see you again, Pebble Hunter, here on the show. He asks, would trading for a kicker be out of the question? What if the Bills are more confident in Prater than Tyler Bass? Good question. First of all, I think Cleveland should have been the ones to get Matt Prater. Where were we when he was available? Regardless, I digress. No, that is definitely not out of the question. I mean, kickers can be cheap, but I think it'd be better if they got one that's a free agent right now and on the market. There are some big names without a home right now, including Anders Carlson, who we've seen have success in the league, including Rodrigo Blankenship, who was a fan favorite for Indianapolis. Justin Tucker, he's available, so we're going to show you that he's available, but he wouldn't be able to play for 10 weeks, and that would just cause a lot of ruckus on social media, so let's rule that one out, but he's there. Jake Moody just became available as well. He sucks, though, is the only problem. And Michael Badgley, I wouldn't mind bringing him in for a workout, right? Like, let's at least get another kicker in the room to contend with Schmidt, because right now it's Schmidt's job and there's no competition. Like, he missed the kick and that's it. We should bring someone in immediately because we will not let that slide. You also may remember these 4 names who are free agents right now. A lot of former Browns here. Zane Gonzalez, Greg Joseph, Dustin Hopkins. Oh, so many missed kicks for Cleveland on your screen right now. Austin Seibert as well. Let's not look at these 4. I would rather we bring in one of the others for a workout to contend. So trading is not out of the question, but I think more likely Cleveland would go ahead and bring in another for a workout and sign them with the new cap they've freed up. Banana Hammock says, do you think Judkins will get suspended? #Browns. Okay, it is Wednesday at the time we are filming this video. Judkins is meeting with the NFL right now. He's in New York City right now, the Big Apple, talking with the commissioner. And my signs point to no. I don't think Judkins gets a suspension after all. We talked about some of the green flags, like his deal's official. It's fully guaranteed, so Cleveland must have started to feel more confident. Also, he's likely able to return to practice Thursday and Friday. That's another good sign. And Adam Schefter told us earlier that he expects Judkins to play this Sunday versus Baltimore. Couple that with the fact that his case was dropped a little while ago due to lots of lack of evidence, according to the state attorney office. Those are all good signs that Judkins should be good to go soon. So I actually don't think he'll get suspended. If he were to, it should not be more than 2 to 4 games. But I honestly don't think you'll have to worry about that too much. We should be able to see him week 2 or week 3 at the latest. If that's the case, are you excited to see Judkins and Sampson out there together, the new rookie running back duo in Cleveland? Like the video if you're excited to see the 2 rookies hit the field at the same time once and for all. It's going to be amazing. At first, when they drafted both of them, I was like, do we need 2 running backs? But now, what I've seen in camp and game from Sampson and what I've researched on Judkins, I'm so hyped to see them both together. It's actually going to be better than a lot of people think. Like the video if you're excited to see them, and subscribe. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Browns Report. If you want to be featured on the show, you can go ahead, follow me on X, comment some questions on my Twitter, and we're also going to do this again when we can. So subscribe so you don't miss it, and thank you so much for being here. We love you. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next time on the Browns Report.